Welcome back to your favorite podcast, Sippin' the Dry, brought to you by Real Fly Rod. Father's Day is right around the corner, and Real Fly Rod has everything from leaders and tippet to chest packs and guided trips. Skip the tie this year and get Dad something he'll actually use for years to come. Welcome back. As always, I'm Sean. Today, I have the fathers because it is Father's Day episode. This is great. Everybody, I love you. We're just going to get into it. Starting on my right, Kyle Brown, please tell us who you are and what you do here.
I'm Kyle Brown. Basically, I work on all the systems here in the shop, but I kind of fill in as needed just about anywhere. I've been here, geez, I don't even know how long now, but it definitely feels like old hat now. But yeah, it's questions, answers, I got them.
Awesome. And Dad.
And dad of two. I've got a just now, actually, a 4-year-old son and a 1-year-old daughter.
Wow.
There you go.
Happy birthday.
Well done.
It's been a crazy 2 weeks.
Sir.
I'm Todd Mikesell. I am the owner of Real Fly Rod. And we started back in 2006, and it's been quite a wild ride. I do a little bit of everything around the shop, and but mostly just try to keep these boys in line. So
It is a full-time job, sir. Full-time job. Sean Esterline, warehouse shipping manager, host with the most. Next to me is my son Lucas, and
Greg Moret.
we've all seen you before, sir.
I've been here. I have been
time.
here before.
Absolutely, it is great to have you back.
My position here is still a moving target. I'm not really sure what I could tell you. I do here.
I haven't found
Old
anything
guy
that you
in the
can't
shop.
do yet.
Old guy in the shop.
Beautiful.
does Greg have a position here?
I don't think I've got an official position.
I didn't.
I thought he was just hanging out here.
Wait,
Did you give him a job?
Cat's out of the bag
now. That's my position.
This old guy was just hanging out
Oh,
in the
God.
shop
Well,
all
see,
day.
age got me in the door. Is all.
It's your looks, man.
They needed an old
You're
guy.
literally
they
beautiful.
needed an old guy. What fly shop with any soul doesn't have some old
I
guy in the
haven't enough
door?
gray yet.
Just
You're our affirmative action hire.
it was mandatory. Yes, it was.
This is he's how we still in business.
What's that?
That's why we're still in business, because you're so good looking. People just keep coming back to see you.
I do like your boy.
All right, let's talk about traditions that we have fly fishing in our families. How did we even end up here, getting here to fish? How did you start? If anybody wants to pick it,
I can handle that one.
Yeah,
come on.
go ahead.
It actually kind of relates to how the business got started here. But I grew up in a fishing family, and my dad was the consummate outdoorsman, and so he was always away on hunting and fishing trips, and fished in the bass circuits, and eventually took to fly fishing, and he was gone away playing most of the time, and when the kids got a little bit older, then he started to include the family, and we started taking family fishing trips. And so our first exposure to fly fishing was going up to the Pure Marquette River in northern Michigan, and we would step into the river, and there would be king salmon spawning right in front of us. And so they're, a lot of times they're jockeying for position, and they're rolling each other and taking chunks out of each other, and they're getting pretty aggressive and creating right a ruckus, and they're about 20 feet in front of us. And so, we hooked into these on a fly rod and kind of got into a big old battle, and we did it over and over and over again until we wore ourselves out. And we ended up going on that trip every year, renting the same cabin for 23 consecutive years. And then, but all good things must come to an end. And years ago, there was a big snowstorm up in Michigan, and I think it dumped about 6 feet of snow on this little cabin.
Unreal.
And so, it couldn't withstand the weight. This old cabin collapsed.
The family cabin collapsed.
It did, and I believe they've rebuilt, but I do not believe they rent. So,
they're done with it.
We're on the outside looking in now.
That's true. Well, now we got to get something else going. We kind of have little things here. We take some shop trips.
I can get you guys in the PM.
There you go. You know what's funny, and kind of the theme is all the fishermen that you have met over the years, all of us, I think 99% of the common theme of when someone relates their starting fishing is a father is involved, it seems like.
Absolutely.
I mean, my story, the same deal. My oldest memories are Dad would, every summer, if we had 2 weeks in a row vacation, if he did, he was a railroad engineer. If he had 2 weeks in a row, we'd go to Birchwood, Wisconsin, fishing for bluegill and perch, and then the occasional pike when Aunt Chris would talk him into taking us over for pike. And then if we only had 2 weeks, but they were separate, we would go to Big Lake in northern Indiana and fish. And that was always vacation. My oldest, you know how people say, what's the oldest memory you have? It relates to fishing. A little cabin, I must have been 4 or 5. And it was a little cabin we rented somewhere. And I remember some friends were over. And it was such an old little cabin, the bathroom was like one of these cubicles in the middle of the whole room. And it had partitions all around it. I mean, you could have privacy, but it was in the middle of the... And at 4 or 5, I had to use the restroom. I remember I went in there, and back then, you wanted to see how loud you could be when you were urinating. And I did.
We're not allowed to use that word on the podcast.
Urination.
We're sorry, folks. We will edit that.
And I
out.
remember my dad taught me a lesson about how to aim, so I didn't make that much noise because everybody could hear it because the bathroom's in the middle
Right
of
in
this
the
big-
middle of everything.
I must have been 4 or 5, and that was my first bathroom lesson, and it was during a fishing experience. So
Okay, well,
That's
that was
beautiful.
like marginally related to fishing. But,
we were on a fishing trip.
That's true. That's beautiful. I mean, I think fathers always, they teach us everything that we need to know.
Wow.
At least.
I remember that to this day.
Now you're awfully quiet. I don't believe I've ever heard.
Oh, and he taught me a clinch knot the same trip. So does that count towards fishing or not?
Let's
Because I
start
still
with that
use clinch
next
knot.
time. Let's start
Just
with the
wanted to
clinch
know.
knot.
That was the trip.
Kyle, your kids are too young. But Todd, when was the first time you took your kids fishing? Where did you go? Is this the up on the Manistee, or did you have somewhere else closer you took them?
The first time I took them fishing, I'm trying to think if I had taken them fishing before I took them to the trout club. No, I believe they really have not experienced having a spinning rod in their hands
That's
very
good.
often.
That's so good.
We
a
took
good
them up
father.
north to our trout club, and
There's a
it's
good dad.
it's up in the Manistee National Forest, and it's a beautiful place. We're going to take the entire group up there at the end of the month for a long weekend. But we took them up to the club, and there's a few miles of trout stream, and taught them how to fly fish for trout. And we've been going up there for years. We try to do a family trip up there every year.
Once a year.
And
Now does the whole family go? Mom, everybody? Or?
it's getting harder with all the moving parts.
And everybody's growing up.
Yeah,
and-
we've got
get
4
it.
grown kids,
Holy
and
crap.
they all love to fly fish, but they're getting scattered around, and it's harder to get everybody together.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, that would bring me to the next. So it could be holiday driven soon. I mean, we hate to see it only around the holidays, but
Yeah, it's one of those things that you just have to make time for it, and then make it a priority, and even then it only lasts for so long.
Yeah.
But the most important thing I think about fishing and fathers is I think about my dad and all the great times that we had together, and I think that 90% of them had revolved around fishing, and we were on a trip, and those memories and those good times, and for dads that like to be outdoors, the best thing you can do is just combine the two things that you love. Take your kids outdoors, introduce them, get them fishing, but I'll give you one caveat. Make sure that when you take a kid fishing, you've got to set them up for success. Make sure they catch fish.
Absolutely.
I don't care if it's a piece of corn on a string and a little hook and they catching bluegill. Okay, that's success.
Yep.
Nothing is more boring for a child than spending time with their dad in a boat or on the shore, and it's quiet with no electronics in sight, and the bugs are biting and the fish are not. And 3 hours later, you've got PTSD and you don't ever want to go fishing again. So make sure your kids catch fish, and but gosh, it's the best time you could ever spend with them, bar none.
You spoke that from your heart. I really felt the flashbacks as you were telling that story. Holy crap. Kid, what do you say? When what was the first time I took you fishing? Do you remember? I remember where we were. Little quarry in Fairborn. You were catching bluegill. We have a picture of it somewhere. I don't know. I'd have to find it. But yeah.
And
Probably.
you still like fishing?
For the most part.
Yeah.
Hey, Lucas, what's your best fish story?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a hard one.
Means you've caught a lot.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, well,
it's got me teaching him,
Probably, was it Sligo?
No.
That
yeah.
truck club?
I can't remember you ever being to a truck club, Bubba.
I got that big catfish?
Oh, no, that was I can't remember. That was just a big pond that we were fishing at.
how big was this catfish?
Oh, it was
Like this?
It was
Was he
16,
really?
17-pound shovel.
Was
he
Yeah,
really?
it was huge. He caught it on a bluegill that he caught. So
Did you really?
Yeah,
Anybody
Tim,
else knows
Tim
how you
caught the
kinda-
big fish, but I caught the
Don't-
little
don't
bluegill.
we
and
all?
caught it.
Did one of
Yeah, I
these-
mean-
I saw him doing this move. It
every
was
time we
perfect.
catch a fish,
It's been years
a
since
little
like
bigger.
father, like
Oh,
son.
yeah, it's been years
This is
since I've-
perfect
yeah.
right there. Yeah, that move right there is a moving
It's
target.
just like fish story gravity. It just kind of
it just keeps going.
expands,
It keeps going.
stretches out a little bit.
That's like,
Just little by
you
little.
know, I was thinking earlier when you said, yeah, share some of your stories from years gone by. And anytime I think of that, there was a phrase that I saw at the start of some movie that said, all of this is true. Most of it happened. So memories kind of get clouded when you're of a certain age. I mean, things kind of get combined together, whether intentional or just they just go that way. I don't know. So
Well, how many times do you ever hear about the little one that got away?
you never do.
No,
You
no.
never do.
Use the little one for bait.
You never do.
I'm just kidding. Just kidding. All right. So we take children into the outdoors to teach them a respect for the outdoors, and getting rid of the unknowns, teaching them like the food chain, how to handle fish, get them quickly back back into the water. What else do we teach kids in the outdoors? Like different knot styles that can.
Oh yeah, I think
help 'em out
I
when they
think
grow
you
up?
I think you're teaching them a lot of mechanical things. Yes, that's stuff they have to know how to do. It's how you, like Todd was saying, it's how you present this stuff to them. I don't think in the first 2 hours you were trying to get one of your kids to double haul. The reality is you introduce them to things that they can be successful at in stages. And fly fishing, quite honestly, is difficult to get a beginner on fish.
Yeah.
Be careful about where you take them fishing, as far as allow them to still move around and be safe. I know when we take our little 10-year-old granddaughter, when she wades the mad with me, she will fish for about a half an hour, maybe catch a fish, maybe not, but then she wants to go build some rocks or something and make a little bridge over here, and that's perfect.
Yeah.
I see too many parents trying to force great talent on their kid real quick, as far as oh, he's a great fisherman. Well, he's probably not yet.
He's 6, so
Yeah,
you know.
just and I think a catfish pond's a good place to start. But
It was a good-
I
it was a
will
little
tell
bluegill
you,
pond.
fly fishing, and this is a story from the past. My father was who taught me to fish, but he was strictly a cane pole, bluegill, perch, and I
like my
cleaned
kinda
them
guy.
and we ate them, and then that was fine.
Absolutely.
And it involved some Pabst Blue Ribbon beers and some Camel cigarettes is normally how that day
Okay.
went with him.
Some great memories.
Yeah. and they are. It's the craziest thing, but they are. Pulling the little catalpa worms out and putting them on those little hooks. But anyway, his brother was the wild one, Uncle Rex. All right, so Uncle Rex was a little bit of an influence on me. Then when my dad died I was about 11, I guess.
Okay.
Uncle Rex took over the oars as far as fishing was concerned.
Okay.
And he loved bait casts or spinning reels, fly fishing, ice fishing, whatever it was. And there was an excitement to fly fishing that I think there's even adults, when you start talking about, oh, he goes fly fishing, there's
different.
a, ooh,
Yeah. It's
that
is prestigious the right word?
aspirational. There's a lot of spiritual connotations with fly fishing and standing in a river and the books and the movies and the novels that have been written about it.
Being in the moment.
But actually, when you experience that, you do experience that different. And if you can share that with a child or a grandchild, and that's the key word is share. And you mentioned it, Todd. It's not like you just take the kids along. You're going to watch me do what I love to do. No, we're going to involve you in this. So it becomes something you love to do. And I mean, all my kids, including grandchildren, were introduced to fishing early on, and they all do it now.
They still do it.
Oh yeah, I mean, serious. Yeah, they all do it, and
awesome.
And I never drug them fishing. I did drag them to baseball practice or basketball practice or piano lessons, but I never had to drag them out the door to go fishing.
That's good stuff.
They beat me to the truck. Yes.
That's, the difficult thing is if you don't have somebody that can introduce you to fly fishing, it's very difficult to pick up on your own.
Almost impossible.
It is, I would use, if I think of fly fishing, I would use the term sophisticated.
There you go.
That's a good word.
It's just it's very complex. It's very technical. It's very cerebral. It's constant adjustments and tweaks and reading and movement and it's all very carefully choreographed, but you're constantly in action. You're constantly in motion. You're constantly
reading the water.
Your brain is constantly working, and so that's part of the challenge. And then there's such a steep learning curve, but then it's such a long learning curve that the learning never ends, and that's one of the attractions of the sport. But getting back to beginners, if you don't have a father that fly fishes or a friend, there's a lot of people that I meet that just say, "Man, I always wanted to try that. I've always wanted to fly fish. I love fishing. I love hunting. I need to try that sometime." If you don't have somebody that can get you into the sport, that's what we are here for.
That's literally why we're here.
And so, we have 12 guys that are experts that all we do are work with anglers, taking special exotic trips. Sometimes it's the trip of a lifetime, and but more often than not, it's people that are just wanting to get into the sport and learn about how to fly fish. And we're actually going to be putting we've got a complete beginner's guide on our website, and then if you go to the blog, there's a lot of good informational articles.
Absolutely.
But you can also just contact us, and you can set up a Zoom meeting, and we can actually outfit you virtually, and you can talk with an expert, and they'll help you find the right gear and at the right price. But give it a try. Get out there. If it's going to take until you have more free time. Try to pick up a rod, pick up an outfit, and just go out to a small farm pond and cast a line and give it a try, and it's quite relaxing.
There's a bluegill in every puddle here in Southwest Ohio. I can only assume it's close to that everywhere else in the world. And our community of fly fishermen is great compared to spin fishermen because they will always help you. I've never been out on the water and asked a question to a fellow fly fisherman. They weren't able to help me, or at least we found the answer out together.
I think it comes from years of working hard on it to try and get to a point we understand. Here you go. Let me save you a couple months right now.
That's incredibly true, because I hadn't fly fished at all before I got started working here, and I mean just the learning curve, getting into it. I mean, my dad used to take me fishing, I don't say all the time, because I mean we did a lot, but I mean we did pond fishing, we did deep sea fishing, we did surf fishing, all that kind of stuff, and it was great. But here's this whole avenue of fly fishing that just kind of opened up to me when I started working here, and the years that people put into it and don't have a resource like us, like I did.
At your fingertips,
it's unbelievably shorten that curve.
Absolutely.
And I know one of the things that you and I wanted to do was take the kids out and go fishing right away. And I mean, at 4 years old, starting that now, my son's gonna have that knowledge, because whether he uses it or not, is up to him at some point. But starting now, at 4 years old, you said it, it's this constant learning. And I mean, I can't think of anything better for my kid than to be in a sport, in an activity where it's like, hey, look, if you think you know everything,
you don't.
Congratulations, you go learn something new. And whether it's knots at the beginning, to different types of casting as you get older and more experienced with rods, to different types of fishing altogether. Like, I'm super stoked to get him involved. And here in a couple of years, when my daughter can actually hold anything related to fly fishing besides some tippet, I'm really excited to get her into it as well, because she's going to have him to. I'm not going to have to. I'm going to be like, hey,
she just
kid,
works off it.
Hey,
yeah.
kid, congratulations. Now you get to teach all this.
You get to teach your sister.
Exactly.
You know what the best thing is when you take some young kids and you introduce them to fly fishing, and you break out the fly tying bench.
That's
wow. You've never.
I was going to ask if you
light up.
get kids
Feathers,
tying.
sparkles, chenille.
We would these
Watch
kids,
out for the hooks.
everywhere.
They're very dangerous.
We'd
Yes,
go up to the trout club, and these kids would fish. They'd fish all day long, and then they would sit at the tying bench and they would tie flies all evening, and they tie flies all morning. And they spent more hours at the vise than they did out fishing, and they were just so. As the kids got a little bit older, I ended up getting all my nieces and nephews fly tying kits.
Hold up,
Absolutely.
It was like the best gift they've ever.
You hear
gotten.
that, parents?
They'd still use them. I mean, that was probably like 7 or 8 years ago.
That's genius. They got those little fingers that are nimble.
Oh, yeah.
They can just tie up
And the
whip up everything.
creativity that you see come up. My granddaughter, who's now 10, has been tying with me since she was 5. And I don't mean, oh, that's neat, Grandpa. I mean, like, let's use some of these feathers. Or she would come to me and say, I want to make a January fly. And it would be some big hook, something special that had January themes. Or she'd want to do a China fly. Let's look up all the animals that live in China, and let's use fur and feathers from them to make a China fly.
Wow.
And to watch
great.
her land a fish with her pink fly rod that she's had since she was 5, to land a fish on one of her own flies that she ties at 10 is pretty cool.
It's and I tell you what, it's the kids are just it's surprising. They're so all about it.
It shocked me.
Wow.
And so so then you can just now you can design anything you want.
Oh.
So I sat down with the kids and I went over to our yellow lab and went
Oops.
and,
Oh my God.
and went over to the fly tying bench and we tied up these elk hair caddis.
There you go.
With this hollow lab
hair.
These things floated all day long.
Absolutely.
And it was like, and these fish were just eating this thing up, and I'm like, yep, caught you on my dog. Caught you on my dog.
Ava's favorite fly for bluegill is the mountain pug fly. They have a pug that sheds like nobody's business. And
Heck
for about
yeah.
a week, my daughter noticed Ava going around and cleaning up, and she was filling up a baggie with shed pug fur, and she made these little spider-looking things with pug hair on them, and went up to the pond and caught bluegill on a mountain pug fly. Oh yeah, creativity is fun to watch, isn't it? Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. Todd, what do you like to do on Father's Day? As the owner of the fly shop and a very, very busy man, how do
You
you
don't
relax?
stress it all that day. You turn off all stress, don't you?
Usually, fortunately, Father's Day, and it's always interesting because Father's Day always falls right on or within a day of my birthday. So Father's Day and my birthday are always one
You
and the
get
same.
robbed of one of the two then.
No, it's twice as much fun.
Oh, is it? Okay, good.
It's a bigger party.
I start drinking a day earlier.
Okay, well, no, that makes sense.
I sleep a day later.
There you go.
I'm usually up at the trout club with the family, which is the most spectacular place to be for Father's Day.
That would be.
And
I can only imagine.
usually, I'm trying to think. In recent years, that has become less and less. Of course, it wouldn't happen this year either. So, not the streak has been broken, but yeah, I think usually then we'll just I'll chill out by the pool and cook out for some friends and drink some beer.
Have a good
and,
time.
Yeah, just relax.
How about you, Sean? What do you do on Father's Day?
Oh, not a whole lot.
Josh, I mean, Lucas, be honest. What does he do on Father's Day? Do you take care of him like he's a king?
We really just kind of chill and Sleep, really.
Well, that's
He sleep?
Hold
No.
it. That's taking care of him like a king,
Way to get
right
your son
there.
outdoors there,
yeah.
Sean.
Yeah, he's the big
Role
outdoorsy guy right here. Yeah, well, yeah.
We
But-
do outside
But
stuff,
he
don't
did.
we?
But
Yeah,
he
yeah.
did mention you sleep out in the wild forest.
That's right. I
someplace.
sleep outside, don't
And
I?
just
No.
mess around.
No.
Couldn't even roll with me on that
Only
one.
when he locks himself out of the house.
God, if I had $1.
Yeah.
And then how many times I've had to use it? Look at his size. I could put him right through the window to unlock the door.
Yes, you could.
Yes, it's awesome.
Who needs
All
a
right.
key?
You have your child.
When you losing. Father Greg,
Sir.
advice for fathers out there who want to connect with their children, family through the outdoors. What do you have? Just a little piece,
A
nugget of
lot
advice.
has been mentioned. I think the key word is include and not just bring them along. All I can go is on my history. My son, when he was 5 years old, we've got a photo of him with a BB gun and a fishing rod, and he's all dressed in camo, and we were going to a buddy's house to do a dove shoot and bass fishing on the same property.
Okay.
And I look back on that, and you know, he was part of it. He sit there on the bucket with us while we're shooting dove or whatever, and he was in on he broke his Mickey Mouse fishing rod on a big bass right off the pier. That hooked him on big fish forever, and now he's a muskie.
Oh, he's a muskie.
Oh, he
fisherman.
goes after muskie all the time. But I think don't just. I mean, a lot of in the golf business, a lot of dads take Saturdays and Sundays, and they're in the old days, and they were playing golf. Never including the kids in it, and then they'd expect their kids to want to play golf. It's like, why?
I was never there.
You know, so for us to just come home with stories about our great fishing trip or our great hunting trip, look at the photo of the deer I got, whatever. I think early on, as long as Mama will let you, get them out,
Get out
there
there.
early. I mean, we've got a picture of Ben sitting on Mel's lap. He's got diapers on a little pier at Grandma's place, holding a little Mickey Mouse pier. And now Ben was maybe a late bloomer, but I know he couldn't have been older than 2.5 with diapers on.
That's so good.
I'm sure. But yeah,
Get them young.
Get them young
Take your time.
and involve them in it.
My dad calls that imprinting.
Yes, there you go.
Imprint them. So introduce them to nature and get them familiar with it. Get them develop their love for nature and their respect. And
Respect.
you know, I mean, it's an incredible resource that we have, and you know, so many people do not get exposed to it.
Yep.
Or get the chance to get out there. Does anybody have anything else for the fans, folks at home? Kyle, anything?
I mean,
Didn't really hear
honestly,
from you
I
today.
was gonna say, honestly, I really didn't. I wasn't really expecting to add a whole lot to this conversation because I'm kind of new at this whole time. But
You're here to learn with
I
us.
was gonna say it's actually been kind of nice because it's like, wow, I'm taking a whole lot of dad lessons here that I just I don't get a chance to sit down with
That's
a group
true.
of dads anymore that aren't like my peers, that aren't like my age with kids my age. So yeah. You've got kid talking about kids with your diapers on, taking them, talking about kids, taking them actually out, into the thing that we all love, this whether it's into the water, into the woods, whatever.
Let them get barefoot and
Get muddy.
Yeah,
maybe step on a bee. They'll live.
true.
Yeah, I mean, make it interesting. Go discover some things.
Yeah.
I love that. Go
Yeah.
discover.
So much to teach.
Oh, yeah.
Just in a walk through the woods.
Yeah. So this was great. So thank you for
Absolutely. Thank you for being
thank
here.
you for the opportunity to
Thank
come
you.
in and actually learn something with everybody else.
Well, I think Todd brought it out just to end it, or not, as far as I'm concerned. You mentioned it, fly fishing especially. You got to have someone help you through it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say any fathers out there that would love to introduce their sons, daughters to fly fishing together, reach out to us and we can help you get started. And once you
more
get
than happy.
started, you just build on that. You get out there one time, find some success, learn some basic knots, get it down, and you'll have success, and then you can share it with the kids too. So it's nice to share it with father and son. We've done a lot of trips that way
Yep.
that are a hoot, and I mean it's a great experience for both of them. But if you call us and we can help you get started,
Yep.
I would say, and we would really love to help.
Literally. I
Yeah.
love telling stories of helping people. All
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
Well, thank y'all for tuning in to this week's Sippin' the Dry. Be on the lookout for our new logo for the podcast coming soon. And for ideas on what to get dear old dad for Father's Day, check out realflyrod.com And the
was so rudely interrupted by technical difficulties with a memory card and a camera, which I cannot understand. I wanted to say Happy Father's Day from all of us here at Real Fly Rod. And me and Kyle would like to ask you if you would please like, comment, subscribe, ask us any questions you got. If you want to see more of Mr. Brown here, his beautiful face, we can make it happen. Thank you guys, and again, Happy Father's Day. We'll see you next time.